This is actually the last sutta of this chapter. We will see if we can finish it today. If not, we probably need 2 days to finish it. The higher stages of training with Similes. Here, monks among resorts to a secluded resting place, the forest, the root of a tree, a mountain, a ravine, hillside cave, a charnel ground, a jungle thicket, an open space, a heap of straw. Okay, let me check quickly what is a ravine. A deep, narrow gorge with steep side. Ravine. Okay. Gorge is a narrow valley between hills or mountains, typically with steep rocky walls and a stream running through it. On returning from his alms round after his meal, he sits down, holding his legs crosswise, setting his body erect, and establishing mindfulness before him, abandoning longing for the world. As in preceding text, number 18, he purifies his mind from doubt. Monks, suppose a man were to take a loan and undertake business, and his business were to succeed so that he could repay all the money of the old loan. Very long paragraph. And there would remain enough extra to maintain a wife. On considering this, he would be glad and full of joy. Or suppose a man were afflicted, suffering and gravely ill, and his food would not agree with him and his body had no strength, but later he would recover from the affliction and his food would agree with him and his body would regain strength. On considering this, he would be glad and full of joy. Or suppose a man were imprisoned, but later he would be released, safe and secure with no loss to his property. On considering this, he would be glad and full of joy. Or suppose a man were a slave, not self-dependent but dependent on others, unable to go where he wants. But later on, he would be released from slavery, self-dependent, independent of others. A free man able to go where he wants. On considering this, he will be glad and full of joy. Or suppose a man with wealth and property were to enter a road across a desert, but later on he would cross over the desert safe and secure with no loss to his property. On considering this, he will be glad and full of joy. So too, monks, while these 5 hindrances have not yet been abandoned in himself, a monk sees them respectively as a debt, illness, prison, slavery, and a road across a desert. But when these 5 hindrances have been abandoned in himself, he sees that as freedom from debt, recovery from illness, release from prison, freedom from slavery, and a land of safety. Okay, so each of the hindrances is given one simile. Okay, the first one, sensual desire, is paired with a debt, illness with ill will, a prison with dullness and drowsiness, and With the fourth hindrance, restlessness of remorse with slavery. And the last one, doubt. The road across the desert. Let me highlight this. And when one is free from these five hindrances, it is akin to being free from all these five similes: debt, illness, prison, slavery, land of safety. Yeah. I'm not totally sure if it's a one-to-one parallel, yeah, but the five hindrances corresponds to the five similes given here. Okay, Sister Second, would you like to continue?
Having abandoned these five hindrances, defilements of the mind that weaken wisdom, secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unwholesome states, he enters and dwells in the first jhana, which is accompanied by thought and examination, with rapture and happiness born of seclusion. He makes the rapture and happiness born of seclusion drench, steep, fill, and pervade this body, so that there's no part of his whole body that's not pervaded by the rapture and happiness born of seclusion. Just as a skilled bathman or a bathman's apprentice heaps bath powder in a metal basin and sprinkling it gradually with water, kneads it until the moisture wets his ball of bath powder, soaks it and pervades it inside and out. Yet the ball itself does not ooze. So too, a monk makes the rapture and happiness born of seclusion drench, steep, fill, and pervade this body, so that there is no part of his whole body that is not pervaded by the rapture and happiness born of seclusion. Thank you.
Thanks, Sister Second. This whole paragraph talks about the first jhana, and the simile given here is a skilled bathman or bathman apprentice. Bathman's apprentice heaps bath powder. Okay, let me highlight this. Sprinkling it gradually with water, kneads it until the moisture wets his ball of bath powder, pervades it inside out, but the ball itself does not ooze. So this is how the simile of the first jhana is given. Sister Aiki, would you like to continue?
16. Again, monks, with the subsiding of thought and examination, he enters and dwells in the second jhana, which has internal confidence and unification of mind, is without thought and examination, and has rapture and happiness born of concentration. He makes the rapture and happiness born of concentration drench, steep, fill, and pervade this body, so that there is no part of his whole body that is not pervaded by the rapture and happiness born of concentration, just as though there were a lake whose water welled up from below, and it had no inflow from east, west, north, or south, and would not be replenished from time to time by showers of rain. Then the cool fount of water welling up in the lake would make the cool water drench, steep, fill, and pervade the lake, so that there would be no part of the whole lake that is not pervaded by cool water. So too a monk makes the rapture and happiness born of concentration drench, steep, fill, and pervade this body, so that there is no part of his whole body that is not pervaded by the rapture and happiness born of concentration. Thank you.
Thanks, Sister Akim. Here, the simile given is like a lake whose water well up from below, but no inflow from the four directions, When it's raining, it will not be replenished. Highlight again. And then the cool fount of water welling up in the lake will make the cool water pervade all the lake. And all parts of the lake will be pervaded with cool water. And this is how the second jhana is like. Sister Shomei, should I like to continue?
Again, monks, with the fading away as well of rapture, he dwells equanimous and mindful, and clearly comprehending, he experiences happiness with the body. He enters and dwells in the third jhana, of which the noble ones declare he is equanimous, mindful, one who dwells happily. He makes the happiness divested of rapture, drench, steep, fill, and pervade this body, so that there is no part of this whole body that is not pervaded by the happiness divested of rapture. Just as in a pond of blue or red or white lotuses, some lotuses that are born and grow in the water thrive immersed in the water without rising out of it. And cool water drenches, steeps, fills, and pervades them to their tips and their roots. So that there is no part of all those lotuses that is not pervaded by cool water. So too, a monk makes the happiness divested of rapture, drench, steep, fill, and pervade this body, so that there is no part of his body that is not pervaded by the happiness divested of rapture.
Thanks, Sister Shomi. Okay, the simile for the third jhana, a pond of lotuses. And then the cool water pervades their tips and their roots. So all parts of lotuses are pervaded by cool water. This is how the third jhana is like. The whole body pervaded by happiness divested by rapture. Okay, Sister Singhui, would you like to continue?
Again, monks, with the abandoning of pleasure and pain, and with the previous disappearance of joy and dejection, a monk enters upon and dwells in the fourth jhana, which has neither pain nor pleasure, and purity of mindfulness due to equanimity. He sits pervading this body with a pure, bright mind, so that there is no part of his whole body that is not pervaded by the pure, bright mind. Just as though a man was sitting covered from the head down with a white cloth, so that there would be no part of his whole body that is not pervaded by the white cloth. So too, a monk sits pervading this body with a pure, bright mind, so that there is no part of his whole body that is not pervaded by the pure, bright mind.
Thanks, Sister Singhui. Okay, this simile, the last one, is actually the use of white cloth. A man sitting covered from the head down with a white cloth. In the case of fourth jhana, the whole body will be pervaded by a pure, bright mind. Then we all can buy a white blanket and then cover ourselves. Then we can tell people, oh, this is feels like fourth jhana. Okay, Sister Jolene, would you like to continue?
Morning, brother. 19. When his mind is thus concentrated, purified, bright, unblemished, rid of defilements, malleable, wealthy, steady, and attained to imperturbability, he directs it to knowledge of the recollection of his past lives. He recollects his manifold past lives, that is, one birth, two births, as in preceding texts, S23. Thus, with their aspects and particulars, he recollects his manifold past lives. Just as a man might go down from his own village to another village and then back again to his own village, he might think, I went from my own village to that village, and there I stood in such a way, sat in such a way, spoke in such a way, kept silent in such a way, and from that village I went to that other village, and there I stood in such a way, I sat in such a way, I spoke in such a way, and I kept silent in such a way, and from that village I came back again to my own village. So too, a monk recollects his manifold past lives. Thus, with their aspects and particulars, he recollects his manifold past lives.
Thanks, Sister Julie. Here, the similes given is a man going from his own village to other villages, traveling around all the way, and recollects what his journey is like in those villages. And this is akin to recollecting our manifold past lives. We have been to many villages, and we can describe what is the journey to this village like. How do we walk there? How do we walk back to this village? Okay, 20. When his mind is thus concentrated, purified, bright, unblemished, rid of defilements, malleable, will be steady and attain to imperturbability, he directs it to knowledge of the passing away and rebirth of beings. As in preceding text, number 24. Thus, with the divine eye, which is purified and surpasses the human, he sees beings passing away and being reborn, inferior and superior, fair and ugly, fortunate and unfortunate, and he understands how beings pass on according to their actions. Just as though there were two houses with doors, and a man with good sight standing there between them saw people entering the house and coming out and passing to and fro. So too, with the divine eye, which is purified and surpasses the human, a monk sees beings passing away and being reborn, and he understands how beings pass on according to their actions. Here, the simile given. Two houses with doors. A man with good sight standing there between them and saw people entering the houses and coming out, passing to and fro. This is how the divine eye looks like. Now here we can go outside of our unit, wait between doors, and then wait for people to enter the door and exit the door. And that is how the divine eye is like. Hey, 21, Sister Psyche, would you like to continue?
When his mind is thus concentrated, purified, bright, unblemished, rid of defilements, malleable, wieldy, steady, and attain to imperturbability, he directs it to knowledge of the destruction of the taints. He understands as it actually is. This is suffering. And so on, as in preceding text, number 25 to 26. He understands birth is destroyed. The spiritual life has been lived. What had to be done has been done. There's no more coming back to any state of being. Just as if there were a lake in a mountain recess, clear, limpid, and undisturbed. so that a man with good sight, standing on the bank, could see shells, gravel, and pebbles, and also shoals of fish swimming about and resting. He might think, there is this lake clear, limpid, and undisturbed, and there are these shells, gravel, and pebbles, and also these shoals of fish swimming about and resting. So too a monk understands as it actually is. This is suffering. He understands birth is destroyed. The holy life has been lived. What had to be done has been done. There's no more coming back to any state of being. From Majjhima Nikaya 39, Maha Asapura Sutta. Thank you.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu.
And thanks, Sister Sakyan. We actually finished the sutta today. Very good. The last simile given here is a lake mountain recess. We could see, it's a very calm lake, clear, limpid, undisturbed. So that when a man goes and sees the lake, he can see everything inside, shells, gravel, and pebbles. In real life, you might see some lake like this before, where you can see everything inside clearly, which is quite beautiful. And then when we see, we can see everything. Shells, gravel, and pebbles, shoals of fish swimming about and resting. In Singapore, there might be some lakes like this. The last time that I can recall, there's a very beautiful lake in NTU, where you can see everything, everything inside, including all the fish. And this is how liberation is like. We understand birth is destroyed. The holy life has been lived. What had to be done has been done. There's no more coming back to any state of being. With that, we close this chapter and we will continue with an exciting new chapter. Chapter 8, Mastering the Mind. Before that, any questions or comments? Okay, Sister, I came in.
Yeah, I want to check whether the first jhana, are they referring to the stream enterer or is a different? No.
No. So one may enter into first jhana until fourth jhana, but they might not yet in the stream enterer. It's not a one-to-one parallel.
Okay, thank you.
It's a good question. Sister Second, yes.
Yeah, jhana is about 禅定. So 初禅、二禅、三禅、四禅. But when we talk about stream, we know these are fruit, fruit along the path. 正初果、二果、三果、四果，到四果是阿罗汉. So they are not equivalent. It's different. Jhana is just the state of mind that is in concentration. Yeah.
There is a specific criteria for stream enterer which we will explore in chapter 10. 3 chapters from now. Well, that's a good question. Thanks, Sister Aki. Anyone else would like to add? If not, would Sister Singhui like to do the dedication?
愿消三障诸烦恼，愿得智慧真明了，不愿罪障悉消除，世世常行菩萨道。
Thanks, Sister Singhui. Till we meet again, may we be guided by the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. Have a spiritual Sunday ahead. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.